Hello. Hello. Shoo. And I'm gonna see if I can actually stream today, as I tried streaming earlier and everything immediately froze up and crashed and died, and that was not super fun. So we'll see. We'll see how far I get. Because that was the other thing, is it crashed while OBS was like touching my configuration files, so I lost all my OBS files. But because I'm a server engineer and basically backing things up is just beaten into me, I actually had a backup of all my OBS configs. A little bit old, but better than redoing the whole goddamn thing. So what's the first thing I need to do? I need to write down, I need to set up my new sprint. So this will be sprint 6 will be this week. And I think we'll have a few things here where, yeah, we may not support everything. God, the UI level, yeah. I don't know if it's going to make it. So today is still technically Monday. Let's see, my last update is from the 3rd. I kind of just ran out of gas this week. So the last thing we worked on was the player indicators. And today, let's see, game options. Alright, so let me take a look at what our actual tasks are. So playlists for game modes. So we have a robust system for creating game types. I think we've got the game mode data structures. We have the game mode, create game modes for game option overrides. We need to create playlists from specific game modes. I think we got some of that. Create playlists from game mode permutations, load playlists from disk, specify playlist via command line. Okay, so we need to be able to create like config files or whatever which actually have the playlist data that we can load, and then we need our command line for that. So why don't I write down some of those steps? So we need game options. So let's have a file format for on-disk reading of playlist information. We want a command line argument to point to the file for the playlist. And I think another task that we'll have will be write documentation for playlist creation on or for wiki. Because I don't think we're going to be able to get to like a visual editor thing where you create your stuff, but we can create some configuration files for that, I think. Alright, so let's boot this up. So what exactly are we going to want? Let's think about our disk format. So basically, we're going to want, we have all these like built-in game modes. So we'd want custom option sets, and we'd also want custom modes. Alright, so we'll have include default modes, we'll have include default options. Let's see. Then we want playlist options. Alright, this should be saved in some sort of config place for us. And let's check it out as well. Okay, so custom modes will also be something that we can support. So let's go ahead and make one. So basically have a list of custom game modes that you'll apply and a custom list of options. Should I have like a named playlist? Perhaps that should be something there. So we'd have like a playlists, which would have an array of this sort of stuff. Or is this a playlist file? Alright, so I'll like a name for the playlist, so I'll have this as custom, and we'll have a description. This is a custom playlist. Okay, I think something like this will probably work. It's a little copy-paste heavy, but it should be simple enough for us that we don't have to spend 2 million years setting it all up. Alright, that is valid. Okay, so we need to actually describe the game object here, which controls all of this. So let's go ahead and get started with that. That's spelled right? Yeah, okay, good. Okay, so we're going to want this to be a this will be a playlist file. And that playlist file will contain a playlist config. Alright, that playlist config is going to contain first we're going to have a string. That'll be called name. And then we'll have a description. Which will again be a string. Alright, then we've got our standard options, and then our custom options. Alright, so standard options are going to be standard playlist options. I mean, we could just pull these out. Just like that. I mean, that'd be fine. So instead we just have our custom options and whatever. So, okay, why don't we try that? Alright, so we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so alright, so this is the include default modes, include default options, options from match will be 5, default modes is 2, this is 5. Okay, so now we need the custom options, which is going to have custom options and custom modes. Alright, so how is this working right now? Do we actually have a description of an actual custom mode? A piece of data, that is? Looks like we have to change these things to match. Alright, so that's an option set. So we have custom options, which is an option set array. So we want the playlist config, and we also want this other object, which is going to be our playlist custom config, which I guess will have two variables on it, which are arrays. Alright, so the first one is going to be custom options, and the second one is going to be custom modes. Alright, and this is going to be an array of I guess game mode, we called it name and value instead of type and value. I'm gonna have to go fix all sorts of stuff, aren't I? Well, let's just go down the list and fix it then. Alright, so we have a game mode option list array, and that's going to be custom options. And then we have a game mode option. So do we have anything with like always in rotation? No. Okay, so we need another object, which is going to be a game mode set. And what we need, an option set array. So a string for the name. We'll have option sets, which will be a string. Array. And then we'll have our always in rotation boolean, which will be true. Okay, so that'll be our game mode defs, and the game mode defs should go inside of right here. Okay, so we're also going to need to go to our template files for this stuff. Let me see. I think it was the option sets. And then we had the type. Alright, for every option set inside of game mode option set, for every property, so you have prop.name, and that needs to be prop.type. Is that literally the only place this thing was? Oh, maybe. We'll see. Let's see. General unhandled object.variables in template. So this is Dashkin shared objects.h. Okay, so variables was spelled wrong. Okay, this was in shared objects. Line 15 is screwed up. What's it pissed about? Object.variables is null or missing. Looking at the same file here, shared objects.h. I thought I fixed that. Okay, so that should probably break our stuff here. And where it's going to break is inside of our gameplay utils, or... Yeah, so we'll just go ahead and check out all these files and make sure we can modify things. Looks like we might have it set up correctly. See if it all compiles though. Alright. Well, while it's compiling, I'm going to go grab some to drink. I will be... Well, it's screwed up. Left of dot value must not be completely screwed. What was it pissed off about? Set dot options doesn't exist? Game mode option set. Set dot properties? Is that what it's called now? Did I change that? Looks like it. And then all these are just okay, so I think we've got that fixed. I knew I had a few things I was going to have to mess with here. I'll be right back. I guess options needs to be changed as well. Let's fix the auto generators first. So we're changing these names around so we can actually use them in the files. Get it all standardized, because I name things differently for some stupid reason. Alright, I might fix all of it. And it looks like it did. Excellent. So I need to put in the command line arguments to actually load in some of these data files. So what we're going to want to do is go to our game instance, and our game instance is going to trigger a load from disk. And we're going to want like a default path name. Yeah, we're going to want our global utils to have this sort of stuff. Okay, so basically we're going to want our, let's see, we got the cargs. Yeah, okay. So static const f string g playlist carg and g playlist default path Okay, so let's see where our command line arguments are. So basically this is going to be playlist config and our default playlist path. So we call this game mode config.json. We'll just do playlist config.json and then let's rename this file. Let's see, we've got the, where is the playlist config? Alright, game mode config, we're just going to revert you. Alright, there we go. Okay, so we've got that written down. We want to go to our, I think gameplay utils has got this. We have our initialize function or something like that. Dashkin game mode data. Let me call initialize on it there. We also need to call initialize on our gameplay utils, I think. Alright, so alright, so gameplay utils is going to have some initialized stuff in it. Because what we're going to want to do is read the command line arguments, load from disk, and all that sort of stuff. So inside of the game instance, what we're going to do is we're going to do gameplay utils initialize after knowing a gameplay utils pointer. Alright, gameplay utils. Alright, so we got that rolling around. And we'll just shortcut a few things because we can. Alright, so we need to include the command line arguments, but the command line argument is going to be this playlist config path. Okay, so we want to get this argument. Okay, so we'll grab the path to the actual file and we want to load it in. Okay, so we've got the path. We need to do the whole song and dance there, so if the file does exist, then we're going to use our serialization util stuff. So it's going to be Dashkin serialization utils from, it's what? ustruct, JSON object string, ustruct, JSON file to ustruct. Alright. JSON file to ustruct. We'll do our path, and then the actual object is going to be this playlist file object. So it'll be an F playlist file. Okay, otherwise we have log successfully loaded playlist file. Alright, well let's see if we can actually run this and see if it works. Too many parentheses. Alright, so get this built, we'll be able to load in our config, and then we need to have our initial config load dump it all into our base configs. We also need some sanity checking stuff, where it'll print out all the things that are wrong. Okay, I guess the other thing we want to look for is if we want to look for a basic file if it exists anyway and load that in. Okay, so where's a good example of us detecting some paths? So why don't we just do that? We'll go to our file utils and let's add something that's like auto detect path. So static bool auto detect file path, and basically you pass in a file name and then it will output if it actually found the thing for us. And where it found it at. Alright, so we're going to pass in all of these different paths to start with. So what this will basically do is it'll check in all the different directories that are kind of standard for running this executable. So if the executable is in the right place, it'll find what it needs to find and automatically use it. Alright, so what we're going to want here is fstring path, and we're going to want if that, otherwise. So use path equals true. So we'll get rid of all this stuff. so we'll load up the object right here. Alright. So that should allow us to detect where, just some basic stuff, where this file would be, and auto-load it in. Where is it pissed off? Don't know what an F string is? Wait, what? Okay, static bool auto detect. Did I spell something wrong here? Oh yeah, there it is. Capital S. Out path is undeclared. No, it's right there. You just don't know what an F string is when it's not capitalized properly. This is a private function. Yeah, it's a good point. And the reason we're making it so we can load these game mode and playlist configurations from disk is so that we can actually configure our dedicated servers, and customers can configure their dedicated servers in order to actually use some of these game options. So it's more important to get this right here set up for us, because I need to be able to like change the configs without making a completely new build or something else for the game servers. Let's say like we run across some issue where some of the built-in game modes are just garbage and I need to remove them from the rotation or something else. This'll mean I can fix that. We'll eventually get to running the editor. We'll just walk through it, make sure we actually load all the things. So let's boot it up. Alright, let's hit the play button. Yeah, at some point we're going to need to upgrade our Unreal version to like 4.18 or whatever. Just because we'll need to, but God, we just had so much to do. Yeah, there's no time. There's no time to upgrade. I don't even know what the hell are in the upgrades. I know 4.17 was not super amazing upgrade for us. But the bug fixes do pile up, and the more we are behind, the more we stay behind.